Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to another edition of the Hard Rock Lunchbox. And of course, if you're watching this on Strangerhood TV on YouTube, welcome to the Top 20. It is April 2nd, 2026. Yeah, we're finally in April. I'm very happy about that. Things should start looking up soon, although I know typically it's lame to talk about weather, but since we keep talking about weather at the start of every one of these shows, there seems absolutely no reason not to continue that today. So, yesterday was beautiful here in the Northeast, approaching 70-something degrees. It was really, really nice, and it's been really, really nice for the past few days. But now today it's back to like 46, and it's cold and rainy. So I don't know what that's about. I did see somewhere in the forecast, and I can actually look as it goes through the week. Yeah. So next week we're looking at 32 degrees again as a low. Like, I just, I'm not sure if everybody's just sick or under the weather, or everything going on in politics and the rest of the world is so bad. Like, maybe it's just this. Maybe it's just the fact that we keep roller coastering through our weather and it's just making everybody sick. I'd like to think so. I'm one of those people that likes to have something to blame, so that would be really good for me if we could just pin this all on the weather. But yeah, so cold today. I actually stepped outside for a brief moment this morning, and I was like, nope, F that. This is too cold for me, and I came back inside. But it was nice yesterday. I was happy about that. I actually got out for a walk. I walked up to one of my appointments. That's always nice. Sweating even, which is super good. So I'm counting on motivation coming from warmer weather. Now, I am definitely one of those people, and I shouldn't be, but I am one of those people that is like, okay, well, things are going to get better when this happens. Things will change when this happens. It's a really horrible way to be, because you're constantly just betting on something else making a situation better. Now, sometimes it's valid, right? Like, I'll have money after I get paid, right? I'll get a tan, after the in the summer, that kind of stuff. And I used to do this all the time. Like, I would have time, after soccer season ended, because soccer used to take up so much time. I'll have time after this project at work. And the reality is, at least for me, like, it's all nonsense, right? It's never anything. Like, maybe some things, like, I won't be hungry after dinner. Like, maybe some stuff like that holds true. But for me, like, most of the stuff just seems to just not make any bit of a difference, right? Like, it's just pinning a problem on a situation that you think might actually make some things better. So I don't necessarily know how to work through that sort of change at my elder age, but like, gotta stop. Like, I don't know if it's a question of like you need to live more in the moment or whatever, but like, it's hard for me to do that when I have obligation after obligation after obligation after obligation, right? Like, and also so many things out of my control. Like, I can't control the weather. Like, can't be done, or I can't do it. Maybe it can be done, but I certainly can't do it. But I would like to think, because of the few times it's been nice out over the past couple months, and because I seem to be motivated then to like get outside and walk. I was out in the trails, I think, this past weekend even. I mean, honestly, the days all flow together. But like, I know that stuff like the weather isn't necessarily going to make me do these things, but I am feeling like the weather currently is preventing me from doing those things, and maybe that's a subtle difference. I don't know. I'm really thinking this through as I'm saying it out loud, because this is not what I came here to talk about. Like, I am looking for the motivation in life to start doing things again that I have traditionally enjoyed doing. Like, right, I'm not in that space right now, and it's been very frustrating, because it's when you're like kind of expecting to be able to do things that you're supposed to enjoy, that you're supposed to enjoy, and yet you're deriving no joy from them. That becomes very upsetting, because that, joy is one of the reasons we as humans even bother to stay alive, right? So that's one of the big things, and I'm going through that a little bit. I've been saying it for a while about writing music and recording and stuff like that. Like, I have songs that are like halfway done, and all I really have to do is kind of finish recording them, and traditionally I'd love doing that. I have absolutely no interest in doing that. So I have 2 songs that are just waiting for lyrics. I mean, one needs a little bit of guitar work and stuff like that, but they're just waiting for me to put lyrics on. I have the lyrics. Like, I just have to record them on this demo and then kind of adjust from there. And I thought it was just like, I was in no rush to do it because the band is behind on learning songs. Like, we have songs already in the pipeline that the band needs to learn. The band is really slow at learning songs lately. I'm not sure why that is. It just is. But then when we came to recording the stuff that we're about to record, like the stuff that we're in the process of recording, 3 songs we're recording with Dave right now, and we're at the point now where I got to start doing vocals. Like, the main guitar is done, Kaz's guitar is done, Tony's bass is done, drums are done first. So now we're at the point where it's basically the DJ show, right? Like, so I have to go in and do vocals. I'll have to go in and do backup vocals. The band will come in for any gang vocals, but those are mainly on me. And then I have to go in and fill in any kind of melody guitar that we think needs, that song needs, right? Like, Kaz does most of the melody guitars, but like sometimes there's some background stuff, and we've talked about this before. Like, songs like Aaliyah have so many things going on in the chorus that we don't do live, and those are the things that I filled in because it made the song fuller at the time, or made that part fuller. There's definitely going to be some of those in these 3 songs. I just haven't sat down to do it, and the reason I haven't sat down to do it is because I have absolutely no motivation to do that. Now, this is something I love to do. I have loved to do it for decades, and I'm doing it at a higher level now. Like, this should be like the best time for me to do it, and I could absolutely care less. And I cannot seem to motivate myself to take time away from just resting and restoring and doing whatever to do it. And that is the most frustrating part, because if you don't have anything that you are looking forward to doing and really wanting to do and going to derive some life satisfaction out of, then how are you ever going to derive any satisfaction out of anything, right? Like, that is the crux of whatever the depressive low I have been in for the past 18 months is about. And it just keeps getting worse. But I am regularly saying, I think things are going to get better as soon as the weather gets better. And I know that is just a crutch, and that is just some lame way of kicking this thing down the road, like looking to blame something else for exactly the situation I'm in, which is ridiculous because it's all me. It's all either me internally or the way that I'm reacting to things externally. Like, this is all me. It's all my problem, all my fault, all that other stuff. But I'm still looking for a reason because it makes me feel better, right? Like, just that. But the crush of that is going to be when things get better, and I sit here in a month and a half from now, and I'm telling you the exact same thing, and I'm like, well, things will be better after this happens. And then you'll all know, like, that's exactly what I'm doing. And I am not alone in that. That is a pretty common thing. People do that all the time. I'll do it then. I'll do it when. It'll get better then. It'll get better, when. It'll stop being a problem then, right? All these things. But all these problems get replaced by other problems. Or it wasn't the cause of that problem in the first place, so your problem just rolls right along, keeping on going, keeping on trucking, just like problems do. Like, it just is. Like, I don't know where my listening audience is, financially speaking, right? Like, in terms of, living paycheck to paycheck, retirement, like future and stuff like that. Like, I have become preoccupied probably since COVID, or maybe since just after COVID. I have become preoccupied with having enough money to not necessarily retire. I really wasn't looking to retire. Like, in my head, retirement's going to come for me around 75. I'm fortunate enough to be in a job where I can scale back hours as I go, because I can always consult, I can always do a little bit. There's always a little bit of work to be done. And it doesn't look like AI is going to replace my job in my timeline. So I'm not super worried about that. But I've always kind of considered that retirement is super far away. But I am aware that things do cost a lot of money once you kind of get into retirement. So I've been super, super preoccupied with future savings and retirement savings and that kind of stuff. And just, I'm not obsessed with money, but I am obsessed with, I guess, having enough money. And I haven't figured out if it's because I grew up as a poor kid, because I'm living paycheck to paycheck now, or if it's, you know, whatever's going on, like, with me mentally. I haven't figured out what that is, but I have become so preoccupied with it. And so what's going on in the world right now is, like, it's not the first time this has happened, but it's one of the bigger times that it's happened in the time where I've been concerned about that, where our economy, our stock market is really, really taking a hit. Like, I get notified about, like, my 401k on a kind of weekly or bi-weekly basis, whatever. It just gives me the update of the year. Like, last one I got, my 401k was down 8% this year. Now, this is all because of Trump. There's no blaming anybody else, despite what the echo chamber on the right is going to tell you, despite what the MAGA sphere wants to tell you. This is all because of Trump. This is all because of the financial and fiscal policies that he's trying to enact. This has everything to do with the deficit, incredible increase in the deficit that the big, beautiful bill has caused. This war in Iran, the incredible grift and corruption of this administration. These are all things that are terribly affecting the stock market. And it's just a horrible thing to just sit there and watch. And yeah, there are some noxious dickheads on, you know, social media like, oh, you just play the market. You know he's going to do that. You can't play the market with your 401k, right? It just doesn't really work like that. Like, yeah, if you're a day trader, sure, you can bet on Taco Trump to, you know, chicken out and do all that other stuff. I'm sure there's AI sites that can figure that out for you. But, you know, when you're talking about, like, your actual savings for retirement and stuff like that, like, you can't really day trade your 401k. Yeah, you can move stuff around, but you can't move stuff around, like, immediately. Like, it doesn't take effect that day. Like, it just is. You know, there's a lot of problems with the 401k, and I would argue that as a retirement vehicle, it's not necessarily the best one. But as I say to everybody that will listen, if your company offers any sort of match on a 401k, max that out as much as you possibly can. Plus, 401ks are pre-tax money, so if you need to lower your tax, whatever, your tax bracket, then that's a good way to do those things. So at least you're paying less federal and state tax. But DJ's Financial Minute is now over. So yeah, so that's kind of the thing, right? So what I was saying about that is, so my head is like, well, things will get better, you know, after the November elections, right? Well, you know, the Democrats are going to sweep in, they're going to fix the whole thing, and they'll hold Trump accountable. Now, I know as those words are leaving my mouth that it's probably not going to go that way, right? There's a million things that could happen. I know right now there's a whole lot about this executive order that Trump signed, like banning or whatever mail-in votes. Now, as I keep saying on this show, executive orders are not laws. In fact, nobody needs to actually follow them. What they are, they're directives. So if this were a corporation or any company, it'd be the boss being like, hey, why don't you divert resources from here to here? Or why don't you look into that? That's all an executive order is. It's kind of a suggestion to your own department. They are not laws. And it's so funny to me that Trump constantly thinks these things are like law because he says so. And it's even funnier to me that the MAGA sphere kind of goes along with it. Like, oh yeah, he did this, so now we're going to do that. No, that's not how executive orders work. Like, also, good luck trying to enforce that in states like New York and California. I mean, I know I was listening to the news the night that he was signing it. Mark Elias, who does a lot of democracy work, had already said he's going to file a lawsuit if that executive order gets signed, and it did, and he'll sign it. Now, Mark Elias has beat Trump several times in court over a lot of these illegal, unconstitutional things because they're unconstitutional. Like, they're kind of black letter law, right? Like, we've talked about this a lot. We've talked about stuff like the Second Amendment and how, as much as I don't particularly like guns in the hands of all these other people, if you read the text of the Second Amendment, it does say what it says, right? And there's a lot of people that are like, oh, no, they meant this, they meant this. Like, the Founding Fathers meant a lot of things, but they were also very good at compromise, and they were very good at omission. things that they wouldn't be able to get past, they just left out. They left out of that verbiage. And that's why the Second Amendment is vague where it's vague. It just is. But it doesn't prevent, like, all these arguments about how, like, well, they never intended it to be machine guns. Like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that they put in the Constitution about, like, how to deal with stuff in the future, including constitutional amendments. Like, they put that right into the Constitution. But they did not put that in this amendment. So it's just, it's funny to me, like, when Trump is absolutely egregiously violating the Constitution or the letter of the law in the Constitution, that the magosphere, it just is like, yeah, you know, we shouldn't be able to do that. And the perfect example is going on actually this week, where the birthright citizenship case finally made it to the Supreme Court, and there were questions, and they went back and forth with the Solicitor General. The whole merit of this case, the fact that the Supreme Court even bothered to hear it is stunning to me. But it, you know, it says a lot about that conservative wing, like, you know, especially like Alito and Clarence Thomas. Like, they are hardcore right-wing Republicans. Like, they are looking to change and reshape the landscape of the country and what the Constitution means. You saw that with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right? Like, they violated stare decisis and precedent and all that other stuff because they don't care. They're going to reshape the Supreme Court and therefore the law of the land in the image that they want to see. This is bad, this is radical, and we covered all that at the time. But the fact that they're even taking this case is just ridiculous. The 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship. It says if you're born, you know, basically within the, what is the word? Like, it's not the confines, it's within the safety? No, the legal responsibility realm. I don't know what the words are. It's totally escaping me. But if you're born within, like, the kind of the domicile of, you know, the United States and the doctrine of the United States, then you're a citizen. Now, it was meant to cover former slaves and stuff like that, which is exactly what it was, but they didn't explicitly say that. And there's a reason they didn't explicitly say that. The main reason they didn't explicitly say that is because at the time, we had a lot of other immigrants coming to the country as well. In fact, in the 1880s, 1890s, you would have a bunch of those filthy Irish showing up, and that's not my words. Those are words from, like, the newspapers in New York, right? I could agree with it all you want, but, like, that is basically what they were saying, like the Irish hordes. And they used to refer to the Italians when they came over, like, as hordes, right? Like, people haven't liked immigrants in this country for a very long time, but we still had immigrants here. And so this whole birthright citizenship meant, like, if you were born in this country, like, you were a naturalized citizen. Like, not naturalized, you were a citizen, even if your parents were never naturalized. That's true of all the immigrants. Like, Marco Rubio is a perfect example. He's our Secretary of State. His parents were not U.S. citizens when he was born in the United States, but he's a United States citizen. If you reverse birthright citizenship, Marco Rubio is not a citizen. Imagine that, right? Like, these are things that people need to think about. And I will say the most telling thing, because they were saying how skeptical even the conservative justices were towards the Solicitor General in this case. And one of the questions that Neil Gorsuch had posed to the Solicitor General was like, what about Native Americans? Are they citizens of the United States? And Solicitor General kind of expressed some hypotheticals and probably some real-world examples about, you know, if a couple came over from England to, and this is in the 18 whatevers, they came over from England to, like, I don't know, visit New York, or, you know, I think he used the example of going to the hot springs. Whatever the hell that meant, I have no idea. But he used the example of a couple coming over here to the United States and kind of accidentally having their child here. But they have absolutely no intention of making that child a United States citizen. So he was going at it with, like, if you're born here, you have to be a United States citizen. And that's not actually what it says. It allows for them to be United States citizens, but you could bring that kid back to England and it can be a citizen of England. You can renounce your citizenship and all that other stuff. Like, those are all things that are completely allowed to happen. But I think back in the day, like, he was using the example of when people would come to the United States and be stuck here for 6 months because there wasn't another boat. That's not exactly what it's about. And I understand the argument that they do not like the fact that immigrants are coming here illegally to have their kids, so they are born in the United States so they can be citizens. I understand that argument. In fact, to a degree, I agree with it. If you're coming here doing something illegally just to do that, I feel like they're morally, that's not okay, right? That's how I feel. However, that is not what the Constitution says. So much like the Second Amendment, where I don't necessarily want all these people, crazy people included, to have all these weapons, including assault weapons, Second Amendment says they can have it, right? And it's up to the varying degrees of the state laws to kind of regulate some stuff like that. It says if you're born in the domicile of the United States, you're a U.S. citizen. It's kind of too bad. And as I keep telling people, especially people on the right, if you don't like the way the Constitution works, that makes you the poor American, right? You have two choices. You either get together, get a bunch of states together, and ratify an amendment. Can be done. You can reverse the 14th Amendment if you want. We had an amendment for prohibition, and we had an amendment for reversing prohibition. Perfect example of how the Constitution lives and breathes and evolves. So you have the two choices. Either get your states together, 35 of them or whatever it is, and then get Congress to ratify a new amendment that says birthright citizenship does not apply to people that come here illegally. Simple, right? Not easy, but it is kind of simple. But the other choice is either suck it up because this is America, and this is how this is the rule book, this is the playbook for America, or leave. Right? If you don't like America, leave. Like I feel like people on the right have been saying that for a very long time. If you don't like it, leave. And I am completely fine with that. And as Donald Trump's poll ratings, just approval ratings, just keep dropping. Like he's in like 36% approval at this point. It means 36% of Americans think he's doing at least partially a good job. Now, I think that's incredibly high, but it is significantly less than the amount of Americans that voted for him in the last election. And this is the lowest his poll numbers have ever been. This is lower than, Biden's poll numbers were a year in, like by a lot. Like this is a bad sign for the Republican agenda, which is why they're doing so much to curtail voting, coming November, because they know they're going to get wiped out if things can stay the way that they are. They're going to get wiped out. And the moment the Democrats have one of the chambers of one of the chambers of Congress, either the House or the Senate, that's when subpoena power kicks in. And that's when corruption investigations will start. And then you'll start seeing a lot of Republican officials get in a lot of trouble. And that's what they're trying to avoid more than anything else. But I think this birthright citizenship is just bananas that they're picking this battle. And Trump actually went to the Supreme Court. Incredibly unusual for a sitting president to go to the Supreme Court to hear a case. Apparently he left in the middle. Apparently he was golfing either before or after that. All while we're still at war with Iran. Which, hey man, this is the president you voted for. Sleepy Don. I guess that's what you like. That's what you like to see. A real offhand kind of like hard R president kind of just destroy this country. And to get back to the way I started this whole thing, I keep thinking things are going to get better as soon as he's gone. I hope so. I really do. Anyway, I've talked enough. I've got a brand new artist here. This is courtesy of Donna's singer-songwriter showcases that she does from time to time. This is one of our artists who sent this to me last week. I kind of dug it, so I grabbed it for you. You can form your own opinion. The guy is Eddie. I'm going to go with Burbes. Eddie. This song's called Runaway Train. It's on the box.
I've been on a